Hello and welcome to this special Green Pass Gaming podcast. It's our emergency excitement podcast after today's news, and I'm not going to bore everyone with what today's news has all been about because I'm sure you guys probably already know. But before we carry on, I am your host Phlapp, and we have a great panel tonight. Really excited for tonight's panel, actually. That's for a very specific reason. But before we do that, we've got Puxley in the co-hosting hot seat. How the devil are you, sir?
I am very well, and I am super excited to talk about this stuff.
I bet you are. Yeah, exactly. What a day this has been. We normally start the sort of show with saying what a week this has been, but my God, what a day this has been.
I know. I was saying earlier about how my phone was just blowing up out of nowhere once I got notified of this news, and then Twitter was just going absolutely up the wall.
And it still is, and it's great to see. I love it. And tonight we've got two very special guests, and I'm so delighted to have them on. They're actually members from our own gaming community. They've been followers of the show from pretty much the beginning, and we're really grateful for their support. And they are also our chat moderators as well. So behave yourselves in the chat. We've got eyes on you guys. We have some really good chat, but with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Mav, Fun Speculation. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. This is a great day.
Oh, this is a great day. And well, we're going to break it all down into the sort of studios and kind of what it all means to all of us. But before that, let's introduce our last panel member, by no means least. Please welcome to the show, FUGLY. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for reminding me. very, very honored.
But this is, we've communicated quite a lot through, Twitter DMs and Twitter and all kinds of things. But it's so great to have you on the show and actually be able to sort of talk about these topics with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Hope I'm not too knowledgeable about consoles, but I am very well knowledgeable on games. So hope I can talk about something interesting.
You absolutely will, my friend. And tonight's show isn't about all of the technical details. It's just about how today's news has made us feel, and we can all talk about that. And that includes you, the chat, as well. We've got some new people in the chat. Pongsol, Wakanda's in there. Who else have we got? Daz, UK Dazrus. Hello, mate. VJ, Leon Creckles. Oh,
SX2 is back as well.
Who? Yeah. Sorry.
SX2 is back in the chat.
Oh, SX2. Hello, oh, cool. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, the chat moves so fast sometimes. Awesome. Good to have you guys in here. Now, I'm going to start with a quote. And I've been listening to sort of some videos and podcasts today, and they've been quoting Phil Spencer. But I'm going to start with a different quote. And here we go. So I'd like to think that the main platform holders have all pretty much shown their hands by now. So there should only really be a trickle of information left. And some idiot said that on yesterday's podcast. And to be fair, if you're going to be wrong, you might as well be very, very wrong. And how wrong was I to come out with that statement? Because like Puxley said, when the news landed today, my God, I could not believe what I was seeing. Puxley, I mean, how did the news land for you?
I mean, there was this immediate storm of, holy cow, what the hell is going on? Because there's been so many comments, and people are saying that people like ZeniMax and Bethesda, and obviously ZeniMax own all of the different subsidiaries, right? And I think a lot of people around the world on Twitter were saying that, they could almost be big enough to almost rival the other publishers out there, to rule them all, kind of thing, because they're that big. So to see this acquisition news come up that Microsoft, Xbox have bought them out, they are now going to become part of Xbox Game Studios. And of course, ZeniMax isn't just one. We're talking, was it 7 studios, 8. I believe? 8 is it? So we're going from 15 to 23 studios of first-party studio titles that we can look forward to. I think this is absolutely insane.
It is absolutely insane. And Microsoft have certainly bought the fire. And I'm going to come to you next, FUGLY, because, I think yourself and probably me to a certain degree, we were getting very frustrated with Phil Spencer. And we didn't really think he was going to deliver the goods because, early on, there was rumors about there was still a big announcement to be made around Game Pass and things like that. And I think when the EA news landed, I think everyone assumed that might have been the big news. But my God, I mean, how did the news hit you today?
Well, I got to admit, I was one of the first to trash Bill, a few weeks back. I started to say, yeah, he's too nice. He's kind of incompetent. He's not aggressive enough to, bring out some kind of exclusives the way PlayStation was doing it. So when I first started reading the news, and I actually saw his, he was the news, and I think it was NBC or CNBC News.
Yeah,
I saw his whole story, and one of the questions they asked him was, what are you going to do about the exclusives or the deals that they've already had with PlayStation 5? And, Bill, being the kumbaya nice guy, he said, no, we're going to honor those. So I still think he's still a nice guy, but yeah, I definitely admire him now. He wasn't as the word is not competent the way I was thinking. He's he knew what he was doing, and this didn't happen by now. This has been planning this for several months, I'd say, maybe even more than that, maybe a year, because you don't make deals like the one they did today in 2 or 3 months.
I was thinking that earlier. Imagine being Phil Spencer, knowing this news, and probably taking, he sees the flack that he gets, because when people write things on tweets, it's very easy to put at, Xbox P3, you can do that. He gets to see these things. I don't suppose he completely ignores his Twitter feed. So to get some flack like that, but actually know this in the back of your mind, must have been torture. Mav, what did today mean for you?
Well, so I've been anticipating a splash or something, right? That was actually my fun speculation of the week on my podcast. So what is there one more thing to show right before pre-orders go live, or maybe the day before? And I expected something, but I did not expect this. This was insane. To go even beyond the craziest rumors we've heard. We've been hearing Bungie, we've been hearing WB Games. This is bigger than any of those. And to have it without any leaks, without any hints of this actually being a possibility, is even crazier. So to actually have this happen, and all of this news the day before pre-orders go live, and it's not just about all the studios, it's about all of the games that's going to be coming. We don't even know what's going to be coming in the future now. All the possibilities of merging of IPs between the companies. And my mind is just going to a million different places about the possibilities of future of gaming. And the other thing is, it reassures the investment again that Microsoft is having in gaming and in Game Pass and in value to bring to us, the consumer, and that is a win. So I am extremely excited.
I absolutely agree. And to be honest, I think Jim Ryan has made a little bit of a misstep, because I think he's lost a little bit of trust out of the kind of sidestepping some of the information that he should have probably delivered to his fans a little bit earlier on. And, obviously Sony coming out saying, well, we're going to be charging $70 for our first party titles, which, as we discussed on yesterday's podcast, actually does Microsoft a favor. It increases the value of Game Pass. And that's before today's news. And now Phil Spencer comes out with this. I'm feeling the exact opposite as I do towards Jim Ryan. I am so excited for what's coming next, because anything could happen next, because I never dreamed this could happen or would happen, in all honesty, and it has. And so what the hell's left to come? Because, I've heard rumors that there's still stuff yet to come. And it is so exciting. I mean, $7.5 billion, Puxley. That's, we were feeling slightly butthurt that the sort of Warner Brother Games deal seemed to have sort of slid. And here we are staring down the barrel of a ZeniMax Studios buyout for $7.5.
Right?
Well, nearly double.
We was all there thinking that, oh man, it'd be great to have, games like Batman or the new rumored Suicide Squad to be Xbox exclusive would be cool. That all fell through, and you think, well, it's all multi-platform. It's a shame, but whatever. But yeah, now it's like, no disrespect to that deal going wrong, but who cares now? Because look at all of the extras which are coming to the Xbox platform. I think it's crazy.
It is crazy. And to have 23 studios in your first party lineup is absolutely, well, it's never been, this is the exciting thing. I mean, what a day to drop the news, the day before the pre-orders. I am so excited. And perhaps we'll come to you next, Fugly, on that. Let's talk about our excitement and how we're going to go and get our pre-orders tomorrow. And I apologize if this show is a little bit higgledy-piggledy, because there wasn't much planning going into this, because I was so excited. I was listening to as much and absorbing as much news as I could. It's just like, right, we've got to get on and talk about this and get our excitement across to our chat, because I know the chat's probably just as excited, if not more so, for tomorrow. Fugly, you game on PC. Has this swayed your decision to get an Xbox Series X tomorrow morning?
Absolutely. This isn't something I just made up this morning, man. Like I said before, I had no idea console gaming was a thing. I first came across console back in April when I saw the Senua trailer. And then over the months, weeks, then I saw gameplay's on Game Pass. So I got Game Pass for PC. I've been using Game Pass for PC for several weeks, maybe a couple of months now. But to see this come on to Game Pass, I've stated this morning in one of my posts that I'm gonna drop the Game Pass for PC and I'm gonna get Game Pass Ultimate, even though I don't have a console yet. So the answer is yes, I have. But then you look at the games that they're coming on to Game Pass. Maybe I want to ask the chat. I'm not sure which game I'm more excited about. I'm an old guy. I grew up with Quake, Doom, all those. They're nice games, don't get me wrong. And then the way they showed it on the NVIDIA RTX 3000 cards, that was really lit. But as you get older, man, I'm starting to get into like the RPGs. The Avowed trailer they showed got me hyped. Of course, there's the Elder Scrolls. I really want to play that when it comes out and see what is what. Because I missed a lot of console games for the past 20 years. I've been on PC, so I missed a lot of console. I want to catch up on all that. So definitely, I am excited, and I really want to. I was thinking to get an X Series X and an X Series S tomorrow. The X up front so I just paid the money up front. But the S, yeah, you save more money that way. You save $60 if you bundle it up with the all access. So yeah, definitely, if we can, because it's going to be tight, man. I think we're going to be have to buying older fans, older people, and of course bots. Now I hear bots are going to be buying consoles.
Yeah, well, perhaps we'll come on to about how we're all going to go about buying that. And again, we're going to get the chat involved quite heavily tonight. But chat, guys, what game from these studios and this acquisition today are you most stoked for in the coming years? Because I'm guessing these are still a couple of years out potentially. But guys, let us know which games you are absolutely stoked for after today's news. So should we just quickly go through the studios themselves? So let's go with the first one, Arcane Studios. So Pux, Dishonored, Deathloop. What do we make of that?
So, well, it's definitely a great addition, isn't it? I mean, I played Dishonored 1 on the 360. I really enjoyed it. I will be honest, Dishonored isn't my most favorite game out there. However, I know there are a massive kind of populace of people that do really enjoy it, and I know I think it's got quite a bit of a cult following in the speedrunning community as well. So I think to have this game, knowing that in the future these are going to be coming to Game Pass, I think it's an absolute steal. I mean, interestingly, you say about Death Note, and it's kind of also comes into a question a lot to bring up, which one of our viewers has put on here from God's Geeks. Thanks for tuning in. So they say, I just joined. Did you guys discuss what games you think will be exclusive to Xbox or be multi-plats? Now, I think this is an interesting question.
Well, should we let's come to that a little bit later, Puxley. We will hold that point. It's a very valuable point, and I want to get some juice, squeeze some juice out of this one, to be honest. So, what else has been going on in the chat?
We've got a comment. Well, a lot of people agreeing and absolutely excited for us, as you've already said. So we've got a comment here from Barker. Thanks for tuning in. They say, I was already on board with the Xbox Series X, but adding ZeniMax, brackets Bethesda, to the Xbox Game Studios is just the cherry on top. And I'm sure you can imagine we can't agree more.
Absolutely.
And equally, we've got some comments here from VJ as well. Thanks for tuning in, VJ. They say, Xbox has 3,000 staff and Bethesda 2,300. Usually you see a merger occur, let alone an acquisition. Bank of MS opened early this gen to support Xbox.
Can I say something on that?
Go for it.
So I've been listening to VJ a lot, and man, that guy is awesome. He's got a lot of great points and a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge and experience. But then in regards to the other comment, so is everybody forgetting about EA? Because I thought EA was just phenomenal, man. I mean, right now nobody's talking about EA. I really think EA, and not just for the sports games. I don't play a lot of sports games, but all the games that I haven't played on. Like I was playing Battlefield maybe 15, 16 years ago, and I really liked it. But there's also a lot of games in the EA game play that people are still going to be able to enjoy.
This is the thing that Microsoft have done, though. They have stacked so much into Game Pass that I'd kind of forgotten that we've got EA on board, and we've still got all of that yet to come. Because today the ZeniMax news was so huge that it almost EA kind of pales in comparison. But like you say, in its own right, that's a massive deal. Well, what a day today's been, Mav. I mean. Yeah. So, well, which games are you looking forward to most, Mav? Yourself? I mean, what's the one game out of all of this that's triggered you?
For me, it is the fact that we're getting games like Starfield.
Yep. Which is probably the next game to come out, I'm guessing. Is it other than?
Well, no, that's maybe 2 years away, I would think. Okay. Right. They unveiled that game, I believe, around 2 years ago, and they said it was a ways out. But that is their next big IP, their next game in the chain of Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and then there's going to be Starfield. And this is Todd Howard's game. So that is what I am excited about, because this is what he has been pouring his heart and soul into. And we're going to get that on Game Pass. Whether or not it's exclusive to me, I don't care, because I'm going to get it on Game Pass. Exactly. Right. So, and we'll talk more, like you said, about some of that. And I have some interesting thoughts on the exclusivity and stuff. But games wise, it is those big, massive RPGs. It is those smooth shooters like Doom, possibility a rebirth of Quake. You just don't know the possibilities. They've so much mashups that they could do now. It's not even the games that we know are in development. Because
that's the thing. I mean, Microsoft have been buying up these studios, not necessarily because of the studios and their pedigree, but because of what they're also working on currently as well, because that comes into the family at that moment in time. It's awesome.
Right. So currently we know the games that are in development, and they did say that they're going to still publish those games according to plan. So most of the games that have been announced are still going to be published by Bethesda. Right. So those are probably not going to be exclusive games there, but all the games that we don't know about, they could make collaborations with Microsoft IP, right? They could do anything. And this opens up the possibility of getting games that would have never been created if this acquisition didn't happen. And that's what I'm excited about most.
Exactly.
Very good point.
Yeah, no, I've been looking through the chat, and there's been a few good points on there. Pong Soul has actually made two very good points. Fallout New Vegas 2. Now, this kind of it dawned on me. It's like, hang on a minute, they've Microsoft already have Obsidian, so could they get Obsidian to work on a Fallout New Vegas game? Because all of a sudden, that's an absolute possibility. How awesome would that be?
It would sell.
Oh my god!
I saw. I'm sorry.
Go.
Oh, I was talking about Obsidian and Bethesda, man. I saw a meme, a quick meme. I know it's off the subject, but supposedly they're sister companies, and the meme talk about, they see each other and one toss the other out. But that, of course, that was just a meme. But can you imagine if they start working together, some, like Mav was saying, some new IP or better remake of another IP? That would be great, man. That was really, really great. And it talks about too something like Wakanda was saying, and VJ, if you look at their chat, that's why I will say VJ brings up a very good point. He says EA supplemented the Game Pass, whereas Bethesda strokes the imagination of what is possible and what's to come. That is a very good point, VJ, man. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm so excited. I just overthink stuff where I don't really quite think about the fact. That's a very good point, actually.
You know what? I mean, today's news is like you said, it's got me running around in circles. I've got so many questions that I need answers to that I didn't even know I would be asking as questions. Do you know what I mean? And like you say, the sky is the absolute limit. And I completely agree. We're absolutely honoured to have VJ as part of our permanent panel on the Sunday podcast. So bigging up the VJ. Well, let's move on to the next studio, Machine Games. Wolfenstein, this is what's on the screen at the moment. We've got Wolfenstein Youngblood, but obviously New Order and all of those sort of games. This game wasn't particularly popular at the time. I think most Wolfenstein diehards didn't particularly like this one, probably because of the co-player aspect. But Pux and I had an absolute blast on this. I thought this was a brilliant game. This could be an Xbox exclusive, Pux. I mean, that's quite a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, especially if games like this, I think coming to Game Pass really helps out. I as you said, this game wasn't overly popular, and I think because of the not so strong reviews behind it as well, I think that will obviously deter a lot of people from wanting to part with their money to jump in. But with games like this, which may not necessarily make the prime time as much as other titles like Call of Duty, I mean, if this is a game that you can, I don't want to say play for free, but if you can play it as part of your Game Pass subscription at no extra cost and at the expense of some of your time to try it out, I mean, this is going to be great for, I think, both the developers as well as the players as well. I can't see how everyone doesn't benefit here, because I know there was some chat on our previous podcast about, game prices are going up, not to turn to the PlayStation, but we now know that PlayStation 5 games are going to be $70 as a minimum, I believe, give or take. And I think a lot of people have taken this in a mixed way, really. There's a lot of discussion about, yes, it's understandable because games now cost a lot more to make. The quality and the scope of these games is increasing, and of course that quality increase in scope costs money to cater for. But and a lot of people are saying, well, how does Game Pass work in this aspect? Does Game Pass benefit developers as much as being able to sell your game for $70? But I would argue that, well, if a majority of people are jumping on Game Pass and no longer have to pay that $70 for their Xbox games, then and the developers seem to love this as well, so they're jumping on board for very good reasons. So they must have a great benefit from this as well.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, VJ's been talking about the value and the investments going into Game Pass, and I don't think any of us dreamed that this would ever, come about before. Perhaps it become much more popular, this kind of thing. But as VJ said, Satya has obviously forked up $7.5 billion worth of cash. I mean, in my head, it's someone turning up with a briefcase with a handcuff going into Bethesda Studios and handing over $7.5 billion. I'm guessing it didn't happen like that in real life, but I'd like to think it did.
Another bit of interesting news to also bring up onto talking about Game Pass as well, is that I think within the last 6 months, this also came out today, I believe, that Game Pass subscriptions have also jumped by 50%, up to 15 million global users now.
I was just coming to that. In 5 months, I think, was it April the last time they announced that figure, and it was 10 million, and in 5 months they've doubled that. So the exponential growth, it's just mind-boggling. Now, again, like VJ said, they've invested. So Microsoft at this moment in time are absolutely out of pocket. They've got a lot of money to make up. Don't think they're ahead of the game at this point, because, like you say, they've reached very deep in their pockets, and it's a bit of a gamble and it's a risk. But my God, it's one that could seriously pay off. So let's have this discussion now, then, because we keep skirting around the issue. Let's get it out of the way, and we'll come to you, Mav, with this one, perhaps.
Yep.
Exclusivity. How do we think this is going to work with Sony? Because obviously Microsoft own Minecraft, and Minecraft is still a multi-platform game, and will remain to be so, as is Minecraft Dungeons and things like that. I appreciate Deathloop is a timed exclusive, and I think Microsoft are going to honour that, although that frustrates the hell out of me, to be honest. How do you think exclusivity is going to work? Do you think the fact that the PlayStation fans are going to have to pay $70 pretty much for every single one of these games is enough for Microsoft to still have the upper hand, because obviously these will be day and date on Game Pass? Or do you think they will actually restrict the PlayStation players from playing these games completely?
Well, I think they will not, at least in the short term, because of the massive franchises that they acquired. You're talking about Doom, Fallout, Elder Scrolls. These are games that will sell everywhere. And also, if you do make those exclusive, that might anger some people. And that could paint the negativity out there that you don't necessarily need.
Do you think Microsoft are a bit too nice to anger people?
Yes. And not old Microsoft, but Phil Spencer, yes. And now the interesting thing is, when you have an acquisition like this, you tend to think of the company as it is now. We don't know what Microsoft will be 10 years from now, but we know the direction they're heading in. But they could completely have a change of heart in everything that they're doing and own all this stuff all of a sudden and not be doing anything with it, because they're such a large company that's possible. So that's always the danger with these acquisitions. However, we can only judge what we know now. And what we know now is the direction they're heading in is something that is positive for all of us. And if exclusivity means having only future IPs be exclusive to Xbox and PC, then that is a good thing. And make the other games exclusive to Game Pass with, if you're playing on another platform, all of a sudden, hey, this platform is a lot more expensive for me to invest in, as opposed to the Xbox value that they're providing, and with the most powerful hardware. So there is such a different value proposition on one company is offering as opposed to another if they continue this trend. And I wanted to bring up something else real quick back to what we were talking about, because you mentioned machine games.
Yep.
This also expands Microsoft globally in their studios, because Machine Games is in Sweden, and they're made up of former Starbreeze developers. And then you have Arcane, which has in France. Then you have Tango Gameworks, which I believe is in Japan. So this makes them be able to have talent and a foothold in different parts of the world that they haven't had before, and also create new things. And I think the new IPs will probably have some form of exclusivity in the future, but the big franchises that we know and love will probably remain multi-platform. But Game Pass is the difference maker there.
Yeah, it is. And I'm pleased you said about that, because I was going to mention about the studios dotted all around the world, because when I was doing a little bit of research on each one of these studios, and I've got to be honest, I hold my hands up, there was a few I didn't really know. And there's a reason for that, but we'll probably come to that when we go through them. Let's do the next one. ZeniMax, Elder Scrolls Online. We'll come to you, Fugly. I mean, that's what we call a cash cow. It generates lots of cash, and it generates lots of ongoing cash, because, you know, there's constant upgrades going on. There's lots of microtransactions you can do. I mean, if we're going to talk about Elder Scrolls, we need to talk about horse armor. And probably, you know, Elder Scrolls Online is horse armor to the nth degree. I mean, I know Bethesda kind of made a meme of it in the end, but actually they've actually made a sort of a living out of it with Elder Scrolls Online, because there's so many people on that service. And Microsoft have just bought themselves another sort of game service, haven't they? So, you know, the value on Game Pass ongoing is phenomenal. It's a little bit like Minecraft. You know, Minecraft was generating tons of cash, and Microsoft jumped in at the right time, and now it's generating lots of cash for them. So I'm guessing ZeniMax and Elder Scrolls Online's similar.
Yes, that's absolutely right. You have a point. That does generate a lot of cash, but think about this. Not all of the players that are paying into it are from Xbox. It's a multi-platform game,
exactly.
right? So what happens now? And then what Mav was talking about earlier was, they've opened up their pockets. They're spending money, and from what we hear, it's not the end of it. And what is that going to be for the Xbox players? They're spending $7.5 billion for it. We're not spending a penny for it now, but is it going to be that they're going to raise Game Pass later? Who knows? Somehow they got to get their money back. Does it mean that they're going to give DLCs for free? Who knows?
That's an interesting point, actually, and I've got to be honest. And I mentioned this on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. I was playing a game called Return to the Savage Planet, a little indie game. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it so much that I thought, because we've mentioned this on the podcast before. When you download a game from Game Pass, it's such great value, and I'm talking like a month ago. So obviously the value of it's gone through the roof since. But even back then, the value of Game Pass, it felt like any game that came out felt like you were getting it for free. But actually, of course, you're not necessarily getting it for free, but it really feels like you are. And to get all of this extra stuff is just phenomenal. It just blows me away. I'm so excited, guys. We're gonna pop over to the chat, Pux. What we got going on in the chat?
Yeah, so we got a comment earlier from when I was talking about the value of Game Pass versus paying up to $70. So this comes from Shizno Elite. Thank you for tuning in. They say, as much as I put into games, I don't mind paying $70 for a game. I understand how inflation works and don't expect a free ride. And I think this is obviously a very valid point. I understand, as much as I love the value of Game Pass, how much it's proven to me, I do understand that there may be people who aren't necessarily maybe fully comfortable yet with jumping onto this bandwagon of paying a monthly fee for a load of games you may not be interested in, and actually it may be a cheaper acquisition in the long run that you pay the full shelf price. Would you agree on that?
No, I probably wouldn't, in all honesty. And perhaps if it was one game, then absolutely. But when you look at the full suite of games that are coming over with Game Pass and including this acquisition, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Perhaps, like I say, I mean, we said yesterday, Luke said that he thought buying Demon's Souls on PlayStation 5 was worth every single penny of his $70 ticket price, because he's going to get $70 worth of entertainment out of that. And that's absolutely fine. And I think that's what the chat was saying. But when you add Game Pass up in its entirety and the entire value, my God, you can't come close to that. If you was to buy every single one of the games that are coming out, that would set you back a lot of money. You'd have to be very selective.
Yeah, that's true.
During the chat yesterday, when the guys were saying about why they'd love to go for a PS5 and these specific games and what they feel the value for these games is worth the money, of course they are. But I mean, I completely saw where they were coming from when we was talking about it yesterday. But as you was just saying, Phlapp, that given the news today, I feel I've changed my tune a bit as to what value this really brings to Game Pass now. Because, I mean, I do want to bring up another comment before I continue, actually. This comes from SX2 in the chat. Thank you very much. And they say, Spencer said in an interview that future games will be out on Xbox and PC and other consoles, quote unquote, on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
I think this very much comes into what we was talking about. What games do we think are going to become exclusives and which are still multi-plat? As Mav was saying about big games like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, if they were to become exclusives, I think that would anger a lot of the gaming community which aren't in the Xbox family. I completely agree with this, but then, I mean, maybe it's not comparable, but I would like to throw the question out there. So I'm sure a lot of us would love to see games like Spider-Man on the Xbox platform, but of course, because Insomniac is covered by PlayStation Studios, we wouldn't see that. In the case now, where Bethesda is now part of the Xbox family, is it right to say that it is fair that it could become an exclusive, or do you think it's a bit too much?
Well, I've just seen what SX2's written, and he's put some very good comments. I really appreciate your input, SX2, and I do completely agree. I think, and this is what he's alluding to, the games that are going to generate cash on their own, like Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, will absolutely be multi-platform, because I think they generate cash and they make their own money. Whereas something perhaps like Elder Scrolls 6 and perhaps an offline single player game, that could be a first-party title. I could see that happening. I really could. But I do agree. I think the big MMO multiplayer online games that generate their own cash, a little bit like Minecraft, will remain multi-platform, personally.
So, sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say not only that, but, a lot of the games that I've been playing through Game Pass for PC are games that I would have never played. And some of you can actually beat the game through the Game Pass. And if you like it, you don't have to not own it. You can own it at a discount price. So I think that adds, like God Geets was saying, it adds really a lot of good value to Game Pass, because if you like it that much, you can own it at a discounted price.
I think another thing I'd like to bring up here also is with these games in the future, they'll be coming to Game Pass on release day one. I mean, now that we've got Xbox Cloud Gaming officially released, and obviously that's only going to get better and better as that grows. I think it's great to think not only can we get these on Game Pass for no extra cost, but assuming you have a good connection where you are, you could just stream these games to try them out. You haven't even got to waste time effectively downloading them to try them out.
I've not even thought about these being on cloud gaming. My God, yeah, you could be playing all of this on your mobile phone, for God's sake, on a bus somewhere. That's just crazy.
Imagine playing Fallout on your way to work.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That would be unsafe, actually, I think.
Assuming you're not driving,
yeah, you don't want to be the driver doing that. Well, let's come on to the next studio. So Bethesda, and that kind of brings us on. We've already kind of touched upon this. So obviously, Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls for me holds a very special place in my heart, and I think it does for you as well, Puxley. I bought that game for you, didn't I? A number of years ago, I bought that game for you, and I said, "Try this." I think I bought it for you Christmas, and
it was Christmas. I believe it was 2006 or 7. Maybe 2008. Right. You bought it for me. Yeah, bought it for Christmas. Gave it a go, and I fell in love with it ever since.
Even I came to it a little bit late, and the reviews were saying, "Oh, it's a bit clunky because you'll be riding through a field, and there'll be a stutter as it kind of loads the next bit and stuff." And it kind of put me off, but I eventually gave it a go, and I absolutely fell in love. I mean, once you get over that first initial half hour of getting out the dungeon and into the open world, it's like, oh my God, this is fantastic. I'd never really seen anything quite like that. And, I think I discussed this on the interview with Boom, actually. There's moments that happen sometimes that are a complete fluke, but you'll be walking over at the top of a mountain and the sun will be setting and the music will be playing. And it's like, they've programmed this moment just for me, but it's just complete randomness. And it's the sort of game that does that. And of course, Skyrim was the same thing. It spanned 2 generations. I bought the game twice. I bought the upgraded version. Absolutely love it. I can't wait for Elder Scrolls 6. does make me wonder how that's going to sit with Avowed. I mean, God, if I'd have said, a week ago that Elder Scrolls 6 and Avowed are both going to be owned by Microsoft, you'd have given me a dry slap, and rightly so. But that's where we are today. We're going to have Elder Scrolls 6 and Avowed.
I mean, you say that, I can see what you mean. It may appear at first glance that these two games may be in direct competition with each other. But at the same time, I think it's probably right to say we don't really know too much about Avowed yet, in that it kind of looks like an Elder Scrolls-like, so to speak. But for all we know, the actual gameplay itself may be not necessarily vastly different, but it may have its own niche that actually completely separates it from Elder Scrolls. So it maybe introduces something new, so that actually, but it doesn't compete with Elder Scrolls. But the other side of the coin is that now that they're under the same studio, who's to say that these people now can't? Microsoft have built with Xbox have built their own network of of developers, right? So who's to say that they couldn't ask, Obsidian could now go ask effectively people that work for Bethesda and say, hey, look, we've got some troubles with this. What do you think of this? I feel like
absolutely.
There's potential there for it to grow even bigger now, I think.
Well, on yesterday's show, NX Gamer was saying, Sony games are incredibly expensive because they outsource a hell of a lot of the artwork and design and stuff. And that costs money, but Microsoft can now outsource internally, as it were. And that's just crazy to think. They've got so many studios that can actually just sort of pick up some of this extra work to actually help games get out on time. You need some studios sat on the bench, ready to go with whatever studio's struggling at the time to help get a game out on time. So having this huge suite of studios might actually help games get out on time and stuff, because I think certain studios will play what we call a kind of a sweeper role. They will sweep up after everyone and help get these games out. I'll come to you next, Mav, if you don't mind. And let's talk about id Tech and Doom, because, Microsoft haven't just bought these studios. They've bought an engine. And they've bought the id Tech engine, not just any engine, the id Tech engine. So what does Doom mean to you?
Well, I loved the original Dooms, right? I'm not crazy about the new ones.
Wow,
but
really?
Yeah, for some reason it just hasn't grabbed me. Right? Maybe it's a little too fast paced or something. I'm not exactly sure what it is. However, when I look at the game and I am playing it, I am marveled at the capabilities of the engine and what that game can do and how it looks and how smooth it is. And you just see the possibilities that people could do with that engine. I mean, it's, for me, that is the main thing with that developer. It is the engine. It is the possibilities. And then also, if you want to talk about, Xbox has a lock now on Space Marines, don't they?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, no, you got the Space Marine, the Doom guy, then you got Master Chief. So
I see. Yes, of course. Yes,
that's a good one. Yeah.
So they're going to have Space Marine the game.
Imagine those two in a showdown. Well, someone mentioned earlier, and I did hear this, and I guess it's slightly tongue in cheek, but imagine a Halo game in the id Tech engine.
Oh man!
Alongside that, I've seen comments in the chat this evening about a Smash Brothers style game, but with all of these new IPs which now sit under Xbox's banner.
Well, do you guys think that Xbox will have a game? On the Nintendo, they have a thing called Smash Brothers. Well, I think now Xbox has enough IPs to do something like similar, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It could be Xbox Kart racing.
Yeah, let me ask Matt something real quick. You were talking about Doom, man, because I grew up with Doom, Quake, the Unreal tournaments, and of course then it came Valve, and then it was the Counter-Strike. But at that time, I was jumping on PC. What did you think about the RTX game show when they showed that game? Was it too fast for you? I thought it was a little bit too fast, and it wasn't the classic Doom and Quake I was used to, actually.
See, for me, as far as shooters go, I was never a PC shooter guy. I was a console shooter guy. And whenever you like Quake and those games were just too fast for me because it was like twitch shooting. I have troubles with the keyboard with PC gaming as far as like movement and stuff like that, right? So when I play games on console, like my experience playing Doom back in the day was like on PlayStation, right? And like Doom 64, stuff like that. And that's how I played it. That's how I enjoyed it, right? And it was a little bit more slower pace, right? I think they had to maybe make those adjustments just for console gamers. And when I play the new Doom, It is so fast, right? And it has, kind of has that like hop to enemy quick transition thing where you keep going from one enemy to the next, like really fast, like with a melee and everything like that. It just doesn't feel like what I was used to as my experience with Doom, right? So that's why I kind of don't like that. But if you compare it to what they're showing on those, like on the NVIDIA cards, it just looks crazy fast. It looks like I will have a hard time playing it on PC, but I am excited to see what that turns into on console when these next gen. So I am still excited about it.
That's interesting because a little bit like you, Fugly, I've been around Doom since the very, very beginning. And I used to play it in multiplayer, actually. We used to hook up some PCs together and we played Doom 2. I think it was 2 or 3 of us, and absolutely loved that experience.
Good old LAN parties. Yeah,
exactly. I like the Dooms. I've played the new Dooms on the Xbox One X. Thought it was absolutely brilliant. I am so excited to have the id engine come over to Microsoft. My God, what a steal that is. I mean, it's worth it for the engine, because I think those games look phenomenal, and no one does motion blur like these games do. They look so silky smooth and absolutely glorious. Pux, Tango Gameworks, do you know what they do?
I'm not completely in the loop.
Shall I
Are you
tell
able
you?
to fill me in? Yes, please.
Yeah. Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh, they're making that game.
Interesting.
Where have we seen that?
The PlayStation exclusive.
Exactly. So this kind of comes, I suppose, similar to what I was trying to allude to earlier, I guess, with Deathloop, I guess. I mean, because a lot of people have been questioning now on social media as to, what happens with these games, But, I mean, those contracts have already been signed, right? So Microsoft would have had no choice but to, respect those contracts and agreements. There'd be massive lawsuits, I think, if they was to try and make those non-PS5 games at this point, right? But I mean, I'd like to. I mean, does it mean that games like Deathwire could come to Xbox in the future?
Deathloop.
Oh, Deathloop you're talking about. I thought you said about Deathwire.
No, Deathloop. No, this was
Ghostwire. Sorry,
Ghostwire Tokyo. Yeah.
My bad. Sorry.
Don't know. That's a good question, and this kind of comes back to Mav's point about the exclusives, doesn't it? I mean, it's too late in the day to pull back Ghostwire Tokyo, but
yeah, they actually made a comment about that. They said they plan to honor the exclusivity on those games.
I didn't realize
in one of the websites where they did an interview.
Well, actually, when we were still watching the news, so he was being interviewed by CNBC, and one of the questions was asked to Phil was, "What are you going to do about the contracts that?" Of course, there's 2 IPs that they have with a Sony PlayStation 5, and you know what he said? Being Phil, kumbaya, Phil. For gamers, we're going to honor that. See, he said they're going to honor those deals, and makes you think: is he going soft again? Is he not going soft again? But if he weren't to do that, he would be the exact same thing, right? Not for the gamers. Doesn't matter what platform you game on. So I gotta give credit to Phil, but I don't know. Eventually they'll come to the Xbox, but it's one of those things that you're kind of conflicted about.
Yeah, I think they could be time. PlayStation's been really sneaky with their messaging anyway, so we don't really even know 100% what all the exclusivity deals they have are. So are they timed exclusives?
That's a good point. And if they are timed, how long? Are we talking a year or are we talking a month? Exactly.
I think it's said 6 months on one and a year on the other.
Right. So that's not a big deal. And then when we get it, it'll be on Game Pass.
At no cost, but that makes you wonder down the road, if they're spending all these billions and billions of dollars, are they going to raise our I'm planning to go on the Game Pass Ultimate after today. I've been on Game Pass for PC for a couple of months now, but are they going to raise the prices?
They'll have to. They'll have
so?
to eventually. Yeah, because 2 things with the value of these subscription services is what they are investing in is it has a cost. Now, how they gain their money, because there's no physical media being made or whatever. So everything that they have as far as revenue coming in is just amount of subscriptions. So the more people that subscribe, actually, the cheaper it can possibly be. So, hey, everybody sign up, please. Because if they keep spending $7.5 billion on acquisitions, it's going to go up. Like Netflix. So how many increases have we had on Netflix now? 4, 5 since it started. So it's going to increase, but as long as we're still getting great value for what we're paying, I don't think there's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I think.
Here's another question. Sorry.
Go on, sorry. No, go on.
Yeah. Here's another question. If they do raise the price for Game Pass, Ultimate or PC, whichever one you have, would you keep it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I saw somebody on the post on Twitter earlier that they would keep Game Pass even if it went to like $30 a month, because now you're including EA, now you're including whatever the new acquisition has to bring. And I'm not sure. I think $30 a month is too much.
Yeah, well, I don't think they'll ever jump it that much at once. So I think they would most likely be like $2 increase, right?
Might have been from the hype talking.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that in one go, but let's not lose sight of what's actually included in that subscription, because in there we've got cloud gaming, we've got online gaming, so Xbox Live Gold, that's kind of included in there. We've got so much value in all of these games. You know, if it went to $30 a month, then with 23 studios, I mean, how often do we think they're going to be pumping out a game? Once they get, you know, under full speed, are we talking one game every 2 months? Is that unrealistic? One game every 3 months? You know, the first party titles, because obviously don't forget, in the meantime, you've probably got lots of other third party titles. But
well, they've at least doubled their production, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly that. So it makes you wonder how often we are going to be getting new games, and if it ever ended up at $30 a month, then it might still be worth it. Depends how often you buy games, I guess. But I think it would be incremental.
This is kind of what's on my mind on this current discussion, because for me, if it was to go up to $30 a month or the equivalent elsewhere, I mean, I would then begin to question that, because it would depend on how much I play, right? Because I think if there's so much coming to the service and I'm able to play it and actually utilize that, then fine. But if I'm not able to say, because there's a lot of games which are becoming bigger. There's a lot of argument in the industry now that actually games are now becoming too long. Can developers actually begin to consider bringing the gameplay lengths lower? So like sub 15 hours, I think it was recently talked about.
Yep.
But if games become too long to the point where people can't play more than 1 or 2 games at a time, then I'd begin to question, you know, should people, you know, I think $30, I think that point is far too much. I think, as Mav was saying, if it was to go up from, say, I think because it's £10.99 here in the UK, I believe it's $14.99 Game Pass Ultimate. If it was to go up to, say, like, you know, $2-3 or something, I think that would be acceptable in time. I don't think that's something that they would do anytime soon, and I can't see them changing the costs maybe until they reach a more considerable number of subscribers, maybe like 30 to 40 million plus subscribers onto Game Pass, and then also consider where they are in terms of where Game Pass has reached at that point in time.
Yeah, they might lower it. They might lower it if they do that, because remember, right now they have 50 million subscribers, right? Times $50 a month. That's quite a bit of money. If they double the amount of subscribers, they don't have to be as expensive because they'll be cashing in.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, you know, when they're making the Xbox Series X, and we all go out and buy one tomorrow, hopefully, and we are coming on to that as our second topic chat. So hang around, because we're gonna discuss what tomorrow's going to be for us and how we're going to go about getting them. And there's some sort of hints and tips and stuff. But so hang around for that. But when they're creating a product and they have to sell it to you, and they have to package it, and they have to market it and ship it and X, Y, and Z, there's an end product for those. But when it comes to Game Pass, it's already there. So every single subscription they get, they have to do nothing extra. They just basically, you know, electronically switch you on to the service. Bang, you've got it. So there's absolutely nothing extra that Microsoft have to do to get all of these extra players. So like you say, it is all about just getting the numbers up. And my God, if today was about getting the numbers up, I'd like to think it's gone through the roof. But
well, if Crap Gamer said he's going to pre-order one, you know, they're doing something right.
Can I say something real quick when we talk about money? So I was watching some of the news, and this is probably true here in the U.S. Yeah, games, of course, are going to $70, and everybody did an upright about paying an extra $10. In the UK, they're also going up to 70, right? But I was watching Matt's gaming news, and of course, all over the world, people from Australia, New Zealand, South, Central America, and Europe, and Africa, everywhere else in the world, it's not really 70. It's not really just $10 up. They're not going to 70. They're doing the math. They're going to $90 per game. And I'm talking about just the PlayStation games. Will the Xbox raise their games? I don't know, because if you have Game Pass, you're able to get a discount if you want to buy the game. They give you a discount for it. And I've seen through the Game Pass PC that I have, you're getting deals on. I mean, some of the deals are up to 60, 80% off per game, depending on the game you're looking for.
Well, I completely agree. But to be honest, I mean, who on the Xbox platform is going to be paying $70 for a first party title when they can be getting it for $15 a month on Xbox, Game Pass Ultimate? I just can't see that being a scenario anymore. Can you? Do you think that's actually going to be the case?
But if Sony's getting away with it, I mean, I'm not saying we will. I really don't think so. That's not their plan.
I'm guessing the trouble is with Sony's, they don't really have an alternative. That's the trouble. They have to charge that, or what else do they do? I guess because they just don't have the Game Pass service, do they? Not yet. I mean, whether. Let's talk about Sony actually while we're here, because in my mind, I find it quite comical. I just picture Sony sat in the corner of a boxing ring on their backside with birds flying around their head after today's news. They must be absolutely floored. I mean, I don't know if they knew it was coming. I don't know this, but I'd love to know if the platform holders, get a little bit of a heads up about what's happening. You'd probably think they would, but imagine this caught Sony off guard today. They would just be absolutely floored. It makes you wonder what they make of the PlayStation 5 launch now and what they even begin to do to counter this.
Oh. Can I read something real quick off the chat?
Go for it.
So SX2, look what he said. He says they can definitely increase the value of the Game Pass by increasing the game prices, which means people would not buy the games but stay on Game Pass. That really makes a lot of sense. Good point, SX2.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, let's carry on with the studios. AlphaDog. Anyone heard of AlphaDog?
I think they make mobile games.
Exactly. Yeah, I was doing my homework and thought I've never heard of AlphaDog. Yeah, they make mobile games. Either. Yeah. No, mobile games. So what would they do with those? Don't know. Perhaps Microsoft might get some mobile games out there. I don't know. They could, I mean, depends on their sort of the talent and skills, but perhaps they could be one of the sort of sweeper type studios that actually start doing artwork and help out other studios get games out on time.
Well, I think they could be doing, you could imagine the possibilities of doing something like Halo mobile games, stuff like that. Right?
I'm pleased you've mentioned that, because imagine one of these studios that they've just acquired has a little bit of spare capacity, shall we say. You'd get them on the Halo team straight away, wouldn't you? You'd get them on that Halo project ASAP to make sure it comes out as soon as.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential out there for franchises like Halo and Gears of War and other Microsoft IPs that have been underutilized just because Microsoft didn't have the manpower to actually make the games for all the IPs that they actually own. So there's a lot of possibilities with studios like that.
So last one, Roundhouse, that was apparently formerly Human Head Studios. I think they did Prey. How did we get on with Prey? Did you play that, Fugly?
That's one of the games I have never played. And one of the things about PC gaming, and a lot of people talk about exclusive games like Sony has with first-party titles and stuff. And it is great. Now, on PC, we play some of those, but the reason I never got to play Prey is because some of the other games that I play are multiplayer. And man, I'm telling you, if you look at my Steam library, a lot of those multiplayer games, I have over 15,000, 20,000 hours on those. So basically, I don't get around to playing a lot of games. I play a game that I really like. I got friends playing multiplayer, and I stick with them. I don't play much other games other than the multiplayer games.
So how do you find Game Pass then? Because all of a sudden, this must be like, you must be like a kid in a candy store.
I sure am.
Don't know where to look first. Yeah.
Funny story you say that. One of the things that Game Pass has done for me is really spoiled me, because now I'm looking at Steam and I'm like, I don't want to pay $60 or I don't pay $40, $50 for that game. I was hoping Steam would have something like Game Pass, but it doesn't. So as everybody knows, when COVID hit, it was about March 17. I still remember it. That was a Tuesday. We were all sent home from work, no work, blah, 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 the COVID stuff. And I was sitting on my computer playing games. I don't know how exactly I came across a video that for the Game Awards for 2019. And I happened to see Senua. Wait, and that game caught my eye. So then I looked at more into it, and it was in Xbox. Oh, cool, that's Senua. So then I'm like, well, how am I going to play this game? And it's on Steam, by the way. So I looked up Steam, $30. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know if the game was any good. Then that's how I came across Game Pass. I'm like, hey, I can play Senua for $1. Oh, sweet. So I paid $1. I play Senua, and I beat it. And of course, that came with Game Pass. So then I started to play other games like Gears and stuff. And that's how I got into the scene of console gaming, specifically Game Pass, and of course Xbox. That's how I came across Game Pass. So one game got me into it, which is Senua, and I'm really, really excited about Senua. But I'm also really excited about. Can you imagine? I know the Halo thing is very very, very sad for a lot of players. And I didn't grow up in a console, so I'm not. But I did play Master Chief, so I like the Halo game now. But can you imagine what it would be like if Senua was part of the launch titles? I mean, for me, that's what got me into Xbox and into Game Pass. For me, it would have been like a seller right off the bat, without the EA, without today's announcements. But I mean, what can I say? I'm like a kid in the Toys R Us stores.
Yeah, well, and to be honest, even when I've been console gaming for a long time, and even after playing a lot of the games that were already on Game Pass, it still feels like I'm a kid in a candy store, because it's like, right, what do I do next? And there's always something new and fresh coming along, and to see, to have 23 first-party studios that's going to be outputting stuff straight onto the service, just mind-boggling.
So can I say something real quick?
Go on.
So FUGLY is the perfect example of why Game Pass was designed in the first place, because it has a variety of games. You have one game that's going to attract somebody. They go and sign up for $1 to try that game. All of a sudden, this whole world opens up to them, and all of a sudden they get invested into this ecosystem. And now you're looking to pre-order a console, and you're looking forward to everything else. So that's why there's such a variety, and that's why it is designed exactly how it is for consumers just like you.
I completely agree.
It goes to prove Microsoft's strategy, although it might have been a little bit slow and we haven't always completely understood it, has absolutely bloody worked. Because FUGLY, you are the living, breathing example that the strategy has worked. So,
and he's absolutely right. I didn't think about that. One of the things that, for me at least, I wish Steam had that, man. It doesn't. I got to pay for every Steam game or wait for a weekend with deals and free to play and stuff like that. But they don't. That's why I really think Game Pass is the winner. And then look at what they're doing now. Look at everything. The whole internet just flare up. I woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning and boom, look at that.
Exactly. Well, Pux, let's go to you. What's going on in the chat, mate?
Well, a lot of people talking about what we're talking about, really. And I know FUGLY's also active in the chat as well. So I did actually want to quickly come back to the mobile gaming space, because Sweshy Gaming did mention about Gears Pop, which was on mobile, but that was done by a third party. And I did actually have some comments about the mobile space as well, because I know Nintendo have tried to. A lot of people might question if it was like mixed success or not. I know there's been a lot of more traction with Mario Kart Tour got released and has subsequently been updated over time. And I think there's been some PlayStation IPs on mobile. I think there was a Sackboy Runner type game, if I remember correctly. So having an acquisition of a mobile developer, I think, could absolutely open up Microsoft's mobile space to more degree than I think any of us really realize. Yeah,
I could see a Halo Tower Defense type mobile game or something along those lines. Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's definitely, because we're seeing games like Fortnite reach mobile, right? I'm not saying we're going to reach anything like Gears of War in that real capacity, because I think that's what cloud gaming is meant to replicate, right? You're meant to be able to play these large games just by streaming. But for those who maybe aren't on the Game Pass or can't afford the subscription or don't have the internet service to bring you a sufficient cloud gaming experience, I think bringing those IPs to a mobile experience in a smaller package, which you can just download from the local app stores, I think could enhance Xbox's kind of position, I don't know, tenfold perhaps. I think it could have a lot of potential benefit if that is the route that they go down. Absolutely, and it's a space that are not really traditionally been big in. So it's another foot in the door and something else that they can look at. Let's go to you, Mav. How comes Avalanche didn't come over? Because they were quite instrumental in Rage 2, wasn't they?
Well, Avalanche, is that part of Bethesda?
No, it's not. See, this is the thing. So I thought I'd look up Rage 2 and who made that, and it came up with Avalanche Studios. I think they're Swedish, I believe. But they don't seem to be part of the sort of the ZeniMax suite that's come over.
I think that's probably, it was a Bethesda Softworks published game, I would assume, and that's built on the id engine, I think, right? So, as far as, I think, did they also make Mad Max as well?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember seeing that on their portfolio, but they may very well have done.
Well, there's 2 Avalanches, and I get them confused. So, as far as Avalanche goes, I think they're just part of this. Hey, we're going to hire a studio to help fill in our portfolio, kind of like what Bethesda used to do with Obsidian.
That's a good point. So, what are they going to do with the publishing side of the business then? Will they retain that? Do you think, or do they not need it anymore?
Well, I think if it was me, and I'm looking at now, how many studios do we have? Like 30 studios,
23,
or 23 studios, right? Okay, so you have a crazy amount of studios, and a lot of them are large studios. And you also have your third-party publishing thing you already have with Xbox Game Publishing or whatever. So having a separate publishing group within would make sense, because it would help create an atmosphere kind of like Take-Two does, where they have private division, right? Where they go and they have specific kinds of games that they do. So I think it would make sense to leave that aside and have it kind of as a separate entity within the Xbox Game Studios family, but also they have more control to kind of keep the game's unique feeling over on that side of the table, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, well, we've kind of done all of the studios, really. We've talked about exclusivity. We've talked about Deathloop and was it Ghostwire Tokyo? I think we're kind of done with that side of it. So, you know, tomorrow's a big day. I mean, today, what a great day to drop this news. I think it's got everyone so stoked for tomorrow. And I think there's people out there that were on the fence about perhaps getting a Series S or perhaps getting an Xbox at all that are now thinking, I absolutely want a Series X. I think that's probably done that for a few people, and that's great to see. So let's go through one at a time. Pux, what does tomorrow look like for you?
Well, I mean, I've definitely been checking out the pre-order space. I mean, financially, I'm not sure if I'm in the best position to just lay down that money yet, but I would definitely be looking at it, especially more towards the Christmas time.
So you're not going to get it tomorrow then?
I don't know if I can financially do it at the moment, unfortunately. But in hopefully not so long, I like to think I'll be in a better position to be able to jump in. So unfortunately, I'm unfortunately not a day one.
No, that's fair enough. And is all access not something that's for you, or? I've
definitely seen it. I've looked into it. Again, this is one of those things where it's definitely great, a good service to have. But I don't know. I suppose because of I think all of us carry so many different subscriptions and pay monthly things that we all kind of have signed up for. I personally don't like the thought of all of that stuff necessarily stacking up. Personally,
fair enough.
Consoles for me, I think I'd prefer to kind of just slap down my money in full and leave it. I mean, people might question that decision, but I don't know why. It's just something in my mind. I think I just feel a bit more comfortable with that when it comes to a console. Yeah,
no, that's fair enough. And to be honest, I did do a poll on Twitter about who's going to be utilising all access, and it came back sort of 3/4 of the votes said they're going to be paying cash outright, which surprised me. I thought all access might have a bit more of an uptake, but like I mentioned on yesterday's show, I think that perhaps the second and third wave of buyers for these systems may use all access. I think the hardcore gamers, like you say, they just want to get their money down, know that they're going to get it and run kind of thing. Whereas perhaps, parents with a couple of kids that want to spread the costs out, I think that's possibly what all access is a little bit more aimed at. And, they're not going to be 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, hitting the refresh button on their preferred retail website. Chat, I need to ask you guys, where are you getting your consoles from? What does tomorrow look like for you guys? I mean, is this all access? Are you stumping up the cash up front? What systems are you getting? Are you getting an X, an S, both? Tell us in the chat what tomorrow looks like for you guys, because
we have already got some comments on that actually.
Okay, well let's do the other guys first. Hang on, sorry, Pax, because tomorrow for me in the UK, our pre-orders open at 8 a.m. in the morning, which for us isn't that many hours away now. It's what's the time? It's just gone 9, so that's 11 hours, and we will be pre-ordering our systems tomorrow with any luck. There's a few stores over here that do the all access, not everyone, and there's quite a few extra stores that are actually supplying it. So obviously people like Amazon and things like that. How I'll come to you first, Mav, if that's okay. How's it working in the States? What time does the pre-orders go live tomorrow?
For my time zone at 10 a.m. in the morning. So it works out for me. I will be ready to go. I'll be sitting at my computer and I'll have probably about 5 tabs open. Yeah. And I will be trying to get one of each if I can. I want a Series S for streaming. And I want a Series X to play on, my big screen and just have that full experience. I think going into the demand is going to be pretty crazy. and I wanted to bring this up earlier, and I forgot real quick. So I know this is a little bit off topic, but let's imagine Skyrim Enhanced and Fallout 4 Enhanced.
Oh boy.
Okay, Game Pass on Xbox with Smart Delivery. If you already own it, if you don't even need Game Pass, but on PlayStation, possibly having to purchase that.
Well, that's what they're doing with GTA 5. So yeah, why not?
Yeah. So just the amount of possibilities with that, but yeah, pre-ordering, I'm super excited. I hope I get one. I did manage to pre-order my PlayStation 5. I got lucky, and I hope to get one of each. And maybe if I can, I want to get 2 Series X's. Maybe one of those would be with all access.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm just wondering whether going through the all access is actually going to slow up the ordering process tomorrow.
Right, that's what I'm afraid of.
I'm a bit angry at Stubbs Gaming as well, I'm afraid, mate, because you're going down the same route as me. Because there's a toy shop in the UK called Smith's Games, and I was thinking that's probably going to be the least popular site that people buy it from, so probably get more chance. But I'm also thinking at the same time, because they're slightly smaller retailer than perhaps some of the other slightly bigger ones, that their servers might fall over faster. But I have to be honest, I have made sure that my login details for Smith's Toys, and Game, and obviously Amazon and stuff are all current and working, just so tomorrow morning I haven't got to go through the whole rigmarole of making sure my passwords work and refreshing it and renewing stuff. So I'm ready to go for the morning.
Good tip.
Fugly, what does tomorrow look like for you then?
Tomorrow looks like a crazy day, man. One of the things that I was thinking about, and it's a good thing you guys were talking about the price, and then you brought up a good point. Why are people jumping on the outright purchasing in the console instead of doing the all access? And it just dawned on me that it's pretty simple. A lot of the players only play 1 or 2 games. They don't really need Game Pass. That's probably why they don't need it all access. So for me, I want to buy one if I can get my hands on a Series X upfront, and then a Series S for the all access, because with the all access, I get $60 on Game Pass. It's going to be busy, man. I really hope I get it. I think Mav was saying that, and he put it on the chat for you guys. The ratios, man, they're not looking good. At least for me, it's 8 o'clock for Amazon, Walmart, Target, and GameStop.
So that's 8 a.m. for you because you are on the West Coast, aren't you?
I am on California West Coast, yeah.
Yeah, Mav, you Central?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in Texas.
Right. So I'm guessing the pre-orders go live at the same time in the US, obviously, depending on the time zone. Yeah.
I got to give it out to Microsoft, man. They did a much better job at holding this down. But of course, that means that the people are using the bots to buy them and scalp them. They're also prepared. I hope we don't have to go through all that stuff that the NVIDIA RTX 30 cards did. And PlayStation, of course. That's going to suck for us.
Yeah, that's true. And to be honest, I've got the pages open now, and I've been refreshing them in case someone breaks the embargo. And I go to bed tonight and wake up in the morning and they're all gone, because that would piss me off.
Yeah, that's what happened to Archimedes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always that risk.
Think about this. I've heard several sources say that Microsoft paid a pretty penny to ensure that they will have about 3 times the amount that PlayStation's had for inventory. But I think the demand is too high.
Well, do you think that's why the SoC were failing so much? Because the chip manufacturers were just putting all of their attention on the Xbox brand.
I really don't think that's true at all. That was a marketing thing, man. That's the marketing thing. Say, hey, we don't have enough inventory for our demand, so. I don't. And then I saw some of the NVIDIA people say that was not entirely true. They didn't have any fail ratings or any of that stuff.
Well, yes, Stubbs, you do need an account, my friend. So that's what I'm saying. Get yourselves prepared today, and just make sure you're all ready for the morning.
I was going to do some readouts of what people have said to your question, by the way.
Yeah, let's do that.
So as you've already said, Stubbs, he's getting his Xbox Series X all access. Shizno Elite be paying his off tomorrow. Well, I assume that's just paying outright. God's Geeks, I don't want my Xbox to get repoed. Trading in my PS4 towards the Series X. Adam C, I'm buying SX outright tomorrow. I'll be up at 7 a.m. from the MS store. Hong Sol going to be online and standing in line trying to get an Series X cash up front. SX2, a Series X for here, guys. Ordering from Microsoft directly and from Shop 2. And Wakanda Xbox News today. They've got 5 retailer web pages open, ready to go in case there's any issues.
Good on you, my friend. Don't blame you one little bit.
Can I say something something on the chat?
Yeah.
So Godsgeek is saying that Microsoft has threatened punishment against retailers to break that. How true is that? What could they do? They can't really do anything financially
No, I've heard that as well, and I don't know. Perhaps there would be some sort of financial penalty for that. I don't know how these contracts would work, but obviously, certain retailers have probably preferential treatment from Microsoft, and these retailers. We were saying that certain smaller outlets might only have 12 units to sell, whereas obviously someone like Game or Smith's Toys over here would probably have thousands to sell. So they wouldn't really want to dent that relationship, I guess. But it's a good question. I don't really know what kind of stick Microsoft would have to beat the retailers if they were to break the embargo.
Well, I mean, what Stubbs and Gods Geeks have alluded to in the chat, which I've also read as well, is they have threatened to just simply reduce the amount of allocation they get given.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, if you have limited retailers, I wonder where people would go, or people just go online, I guess. To a place like Amazon, perhaps. I don't know if they even allow pre-orders through there, do they? Amazon do pre-orders for it?
Yeah. I was thinking of Amazon, and I'm thinking that their servers would probably hold up the best out of everyone's. But well, a little bit like Wakanda News today, I'm going to have several tabs open and just see. I want to get it through All Access because I'm already spending £11 a month on Game Pass, and I pay monthly, so I can stop that today, and that's absolutely fine. But with All Access, a Series X comes in at 28 English or Great British pounds, and I'm already spending 11 on Game Pass Ultimate. So for me, for an extra £14 a month, I can get an Xbox Series X. It just seems mind blowing to me. I just hope it doesn't slow up the ordering process. That's the thing, because the trouble is, it is an installment sort of program that they're doing, and it is technically a loan. And so I'm guessing there's this security checks they've got to do, finance checks.
It's the way most of these Klarna, isn't it?
Yeah.
These are credit check.
Yeah, the way most of these retailers work is once you put your item in the cart, then you work out payment, and you at least have a few minutes to work out your purchase before you don't get access to the item in your cart.
I'm pleased you said that, because it kind of alludes to that on the Smith's Toys Gaming website. It says choose what you want and then go through to payment. And I was kind of hoping that would be the case. So I'm guessing it would stay in your basket for an hour. And if you walked away and didn't do anything with it, it would probably go back into sort of their stock, right. I guess. But,
did you guys realize what Sony said? And I think Boom talked about it on his podcast, was Sony was sending out, started saying that only people with the user account or gaming tab will be able to order them, and that turned out to be not true. So Microsoft, that turned out to be, Microsoft's never said that. They don't have some kind of limit. They do. So
no, they don't. No, they don't. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So if the fiasco turned out for Sony fans like that, imagine for us that we don't have, or people that have the gaming tag to buy one. It's going to be a free-for-all, and if bots are always going to beat humans, that's a fact.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that kind of worries me a little bit. And I think Sony were doing the whole sort of PlayStation ID thing to try and get around the bots. So let's, we're wrapping up the show now, and to be honest, guys, I am so excited for tomorrow. I'm not going to sleep much tonight. I'm going to be more anxious than I'm excited, because I just want to get my hands on this bloody box, this thing that I've been tracking since late December. And like you, Fugly, it was this Senua 2 Hellblade trailer that absolutely knocked my socks off. And I said on my podcast the other day, I was actually on my Christmas works do at the time. I got staggered back to my room, just about go. I was fairly well inebriated at the time, to be honest, and just happened to look on my phone, and there was a notification from YouTube, and I was just having a quick scroll through, and it said about the new Xbox, and I just thought it was going to be one of the sort of troll kind of things.
VCR.
Yeah, and then my God, it's like is that for real? And then, the rest's history. Microsoft have had a bit of an up and down sort of launch to this console, but my God, have they had a final 11th hour that's just got everyone so stoked. So let's just very quickly talk about Sony and the debacle of their pre-orders. Fugly, I'm guessing you didn't order a PS5?
I got nothing against Sony. I've actually used some noise cancellation from them. And I've seen some of their games. They're all right, but from the PC side of things, their games these never caught my eye.
No,
if it wasn't for Senno, check this out. If Senno wasn't PlayStation, I would be doing this on their side. I mean, Senno is what caught my eye, but now after all these news, I'm hooked, man. I'm upgrading my subscription to Ultimate, and I'm also going to buy One X and One S, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Awesome. Well, chat. We have got a 3-month Game Pass Ultimate giveaway on this Sunday's podcast. So please tune in for that. One lucky person's going to walk away with 3 months worth of Game Pass Ultimate, absolutely free. I've not worked out how we're going to call a winner on that at the moment. But my God, if you're able to secure your Xbox and you walk away with 3 months Xbox Game Pass Ultimate as well, what a great day that's going to be. So yeah, let's just quickly talk about Sony. It seemed really odd. Puxley, let's go to you. What was that all about? Because they said put in your PlayStation ID. We'll email you when the pre-orders are going live. We'll give you plenty of notice, and then they absolutely didn't. What the hell happened there?
I really don't know. I think it's so hard to tell. I mean, part of me would like to think that maybe there was maybe a guy on the admin team that accidentally pressed the button too quick. I don't know whether or not this was meant to be kind of maybe like one of many wacky marketing tactics which have happened throughout the years with all sorts of companies that's just gone horribly wrong. I'm not too sure, but I think to say that you're going to give plenty of notice and then to turn around and before you know it, everyone's social medias are pinging saying that you've got to get it now. But obviously, depending on where you are in the world and your time zone, you're either going to be fast asleep or you're full on at work and you can't get the time away to just punch in your pre-order wish list or whatever. But it's unfortunate. If you are a massive Sony fan and you really wanted your PS5, I think it's a bit of a slap in the face, I think, from Sony to just kind of drop the ball like that.
Yeah, Mav, I mean, you were lucky enough to get one, mate. What did you have to do for that? Was you just in the right place at the right time?
No, I was not. So I was, I actually had live streamed the PlayStation event, and we're thinking, okay, this is all cool. And they had already said pre-orders are going to be the next day. So it was out of my mind.
Just out of interest, what time of day was that for you guys over there? Because over here it was at 8 o'clock at night.
So I think the show started around 2 or 3. I don't remember exactly what time, but the pre-orders went live at GameStop at like 6 p.m. my time.
See, over here they went live at about 2 o'clock in the morning. So you can imagine.
So what I was doing was I had my we were talking about our reactions, and I was just kind of hanging out on Twitter, and then somebody posted that, hey, GameStop is selling the pre-orders, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, what do you mean? So I start calling GameStop, and they won't answer their phone. So immediately I run downstairs and tell my wife, I think I got to go to GameStop. So I run and get my truck, and I drive like 15 minutes down the road to GameStop, 10, 15 minutes or so. I get there, and there's like 5 to 10 people parking and pulling out. Wow. There's people walking out of GameStop, and I'm like, oh no, I'm too late. Right. I go in, and they said, I'm sorry, we're out of allocations already. But if you want to try another GameStop, there's one 20 minutes away. I'm like, wow. That's not going to happen. If you're out, they're going to be out. So I go sit in my truck, and I start pulling up all these retailers, and nobody had them yet. But I happened to just stumble upon Target.com right when the pre-orders went live there. Now, when I say right when the pre-orders went live, it's still a couple minutes too late to get a digital.
Okay.
So I was able to get the physical. I wanted the digital, but it was kind of like shocking. I was kind of in the scramble mode, you know what I mean? And I got lucky because I was able to get it in the cart, right?
Nice.
So yeah, that was my experience. And that's on Sony for not giving people proper notice. Now I am primarily an Xbox guy, right? And I still play PlayStation. I have a PS4 Pro. I like some of the exclusives. So I can't imagine what I would feel like if I was excited about PlayStation as I am about Xbox, and I was that PlayStation guy, and I had prepared and planned, and they just did this out of the blue like that, and I missed out.
Oh, yeah, imagine.
I would be so upset,
yeah.
Right? And that's on them for doing that to their fans. So, that's a shame.
It is, and thankfully we're not in that situation with Microsoft. They've played a slow game, but my God, did they have the last blow? So
don't hold on to your breath, man. I keep hearing that this isn't over yet.
Well,
there's more coming. That's
you know
what I hear.
what? You know what? If this was the end, then I'd be absolutely happy. But if there's more, my God, bring it on! I can't.
We'll see.
I'll be honest with you.
imagine.
I was happy with the Game Pass period. Then EA came along, and EA, cool, nice. That was great. But now this, and I mean, what else can they announce? I just
they have a
think
lot
of
to
anything.
all the games that we don't know about. The initiative, game,
true.
Compulsion's game.
Yeah.
What is
That's
the
true.
coalition working on?
Gear 6.
Machine Games. We don't know what they're working on, right? And because the last game they came out with was Wolfenstein 2, if I'm correct on that. And so there's several major. In Exile is supposed to be working on a massive RPG, and there's several studios that are capable of making massive AAA RPGs or games, shooters, whatever, that we do not know what they're working on right now. And Microsoft has them in their pocket. So they could announce any of these at any time.
Did any of you guys hear about Obsidian? One of their chief engineers talked about working on a secret IP.
Yes,
that's Obsidian, man, and they're already juggling a couple of titles already.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Maybe it's Fallout New Vegas too, and they already know about this.
Yeah, but he said new IP. I don't think that's new IP. Would that be a new IP?
No, he said new IP exactly.
Yep.
So
yeah, he's actually posted it in one of his blogs and stuff.
That's awesome. Imagine that. When I saw about the Fallout New Vegas 2, it's like, oh my God, yeah, they've got Obsidian under the same umbrella. Wow.
How long because when the EA play came along, everybody was excited for it, and it seemed to die down. No one's talking about EA right now. How long would it take for this to die down?
Oh, yeah, good question. Who knows?
guys,
we're going to have to wrap it up there, I'm afraid. I've really enjoyed tonight. I feel so excited. I'm so pleased that I've shared this evening, the eve before pre-orders go live, with you guys in the chat. Let's just go through the chat very quickly. So we've got Sweshi, God's Geek, Wasonda, Pongsol, sorry. Who else? We've got UK Daz, Stubbs. My God, Adam C, SX2. Some of you have had to leave, unfortunately, but obviously it's going to go up afterwards. We've had VJ in the chat. God's Geeks, yeah. Just so many people.
Gaming, King Yam Yam as well, UK Dazarus.
Oh, man.
Awesome. Just awesome.
I really wish everybody to get one. If you are aiming to get one, I hope you get it. Good luck. Good luck to everybody.
Good luck, everyone. Yeah. Sure, you've got the accounts if you need them on these sites tonight, because you're not going to be making one tomorrow morning because their servers are going to be all kinds of wobbly tomorrow. So let's make sure you've got everything that you need, all your ducks in line tonight. Thank you, everyone. Let's just do a very quick last round. Fugly, you're new to social media and Twitter. So what's your Twitter handle?
Unfortunately, I don't have anything for me to follow me. I'm very new to console as well. But I just created a Twitter account several days back. And by the way, it was Phlapp, one of the guys, and VJ kept asking me for one, which I did. So my handle, I think, is the at one, right? So it would be at _biker _ gamer _ I'm a biker first and foremost, and then gamer second.
Excellent. Well, I'll put a link in the description below, so that's fine. Fun Speculation, Mav, where can we find you? And you also have your own YouTube channel, so let's big that up while you're here.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I am just a regular guy that works a full-time job, but about 8 weeks ago, I just decided to go for it and get more involved in the community and create a YouTube channel and create my podcast. And really the goal was for my podcast. Okay. So, but I've been welcomed by the community and it's been amazing. So you can check out the podcast is Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And that's on YouTube, on video form. And that's also on, pretty much every audio platform, Amazon Music, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast. And that usually hits on Fridays or Saturdays. Because I work full-time, I don't have 100% concrete schedule on when that hits. But I also have my Twitter handle is @FunSpeculation, and you can find links to all that stuff on Twitter and just interact with me because I love talking with you guys, especially about Xbox and games.
I actually saw him beat Avengers last night.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there. It was fun. It was one of those games that I think Boom said he paid $200 for it.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, for the
But it's
collector's edition.
that I'm going to buy just because of the way they did things and the way they're going into it. I just didn't like none of that stuff. But I saw the game. The game looked great. I think you were on 1X, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it didn't end there. I saw the ending. The game doesn't end there. Apparently, there's more to come to it.
Yeah, it's a bunch more of that. I'm going to be streaming more of that. And what I think I might do now, so on YouTube is at Fun Speculation. It's Fun Speculation also. So I think I'm going to give Doom Eternal another try, and I will stream that to see if I can become more of a fast-paced Twitch shooter guy.
Well, that's fine. I will leave a link to that, guys, in the chat. Anyone watching this after the event, please go and support Fun Speculation's channel. It's a good laugh. And to be honest, you always seem to be on after our podcast quite late, and I tune in as much as I can. And it's really good talking to you after our podcast and having a chat and seeing what.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. Puxley, where can we find you? I hear that your followers have gone up a little bit today.
Yes, it's been a bit, well, not just today, over the last few days. My personal kind of follow account seems to be growing. So to all of you that have been following me personally, I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. And definitely keep me and at Green Pass Gaming up to date on how you got on with your pre-orders tonight, please.
Absolutely.
But in other news, for those who aren't aware, you can find me on Twitter at PuxleyAR. And you can also find me on Xbox as simply Puxley as well. That is my gamer tag. So if you'd like to follow me there as well, by all means, please do.
That's awesome. And guys, anyone in the chat, post tomorrow on Twitter. I want to know who's managed to get their pre-order and who unfortunately might not have done. Hopefully we all will. Good luck to everyone in the chat. Good luck to the panel. I wish you the very best. Let's hope we can all do this and that Microsoft pull another blinder out of the bag. I've really enjoyed tonight. It was a little bit of an off-the-cuff one because obviously no one knew this news was going to drop. But I'm really excited. And like I say, I'm not going to get much sleep tonight. So it's 9:30 in the UK. So glass of milk and some bed for me, I think. Try and get an early night. So excellent. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're going to do our normal podcast on Sunday, and we'll see you then. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.